What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another watch this video. Happy Thursday. No video tomorrow as it is Friday. I hope you all enjoy your weekends. If I can stop saying 1,000 times. Today was National Software Day. There were so many, and I mean so many, maybe too many names to keep an eye on in that group. It's overwhelming, right? IGV. I wish I still own this from like 83 bucks down here is where I originally bought it. I wish I still own that for sure, but this group acted just amazing today, right? ServiceNow came out to acquire Workday. This thing made a 17% move. Then you got Snow, right, which is building a nice little flag, looks fine, maybe a little bit longer to build out, and I'd feel a little bit more confident about it. It's made a pretty big move up, but just continue to build sideways. It's a big leader. I wouldn't be surprised. It's probably going to be breaking out tomorrow. Path was another one. Nice big move today. Frog, you had the earnings gap up crap, 3 days tight, and then a big breakout today. That was interesting. It's on the list. TENB, kind of like a 2 day flag breaking out of today. Interesting. Unity, nice move. MongoDB, another one, big move. RNG, awesome move. Centennial One, I think this is cybersecurity as well, but also obviously software. Big move today. This list just goes on and on. Paycom, another one, big move. Shopify, which I consider your software, and it's definitely acting like a software. Power earnings gap, 2 day low volume, and then a nice push today. Super, super interesting. QLYS, which I'm pretty sure is another cybersecurity name. Stop saying Inside day, a nice push day. Super interesting. Zeta, another one, just continuing higher. Toast with a flag, continuing higher. ESTC with a big move today. Docu showed up today as well with a big move. NTNX, another one, monster move. And even Team, 3 days wedging up and breaking out of like a wedge. So I mean, this group is so strong. I want to continue to keep an eye on it, but I would like to see some more setups. Palantir obviously is another one that's been acting awesome. I'd like to see it build out a little bit more, but this is probably going to be on the list next week. Other than that, this group's awesome. Some names did take a rest today, I will say, which is still fine. Those are bigger picture ideas like an HPE kind of coming into that earnings gap up open, rejecting it. But look at where we've come, right? We're well at the base. Looks fine. Dell, another one, makes a new high, kind of rejects 500 bucks, but it doesn't look too bad, right? Did have some volume come in today, but we'll see where these things can be at as they pull back in for a day or two and rest, or even if they just continue higher, they definitely can do that. Or even like an Amazon, right? Needed a breather right after the big earnings gap up and another day push, but the chart still looks fine. It's on my list for tomorrow, and I still see a lot of flags, which I think will look better with maybe a few more days of clarity, whether that's an AAOI, right? It's building a flag. Not my favorite day today, but I will keep an eye on this one. OUST is another one. This one's still on the list because, it's above its 50, but either way, it's building a nice sideways, nice little base, mini base, a nice flag, whatever you want to call it. Airbnb is another one, big earnings gap up. Inside day yesterday, it's building out a flag. Twilio, same look. You get your earnings gap up, it's building out a flag. I just want more clarity. I just want a little bit more of sideways, and I'd feel a little bit more confident about these names. But other than that, they're in strong groups and they're acting awesome, right? Your QQQ had a nice follow through day out of the range today. A follow through out of the range today, and it sounds like the SPY can get a power trend started tomorrow if we can close up for the day and hold above the 21. I think that's pretty possible. Obviously, the 21 day or 20 day is going to look like the most possible. We'll see if we'll close up tomorrow. It'll be super interesting. Shout out to Mike Webster. I want to go over the breadth real quick. Another nice day, right? It wasn't a gigantic day in breadth with the Nasdaq breaking out, but maybe that's still to come. But it was cool to see 600 stocks up 25% in a quarter, right? It's kind of been like at 300, like 2 weeks ago. Now we're at 600, right? Pretty much double. And shout out to Nick Drendel for pointing this out. But we have, and in the last 2 days, 10 plus names, 10x ATRs extended from the 50 days. So it's nice to see names making big enough, good enough moves that they're starting to become extended, right? Like out of April, we had so many names. Like don't even need to go back, but there were so many, right? And then also NAAIM numbers came in at 95, so we'll see what can come out of that. But I'm more focused personally on price, right? Look at pretty same thing, right? A really really nice day overall for breadth. So it was good to see, right? It's been holding up really well on any pullbacks, and it's just continuing higher when we get some push. So that is pretty lovely. Get into the futures market here. Not too much to say for me personally about this crude oil, kind of a 2-day pullback, still above the 50. Doesn't look terrible, but this group, right, whether you look at the XLE, right, 2 days sideways after, a 2-day move up, but oh my goodness, right, VLO, this group is an absolute rocket. PBF, PSX, MPC, DK, like these moves are insane. DK still trying to build a base. PARR, I think another one, it's kind of it got hammered, but it came all the way back. So this group is acting pretty wild. I did throw VG there on the list. It is an oil name. I think it's one of the fastest moving ones. It has about $200 million average daily dollar volume, double inside day. Looks like a little flag. Interesting to me. Earnings is out of the way. We'll see if it can push through today's highs. I think it can get pretty interesting through today's highs, but besides that, not a bad look. It's in a good group. The group's acting great, surprisingly. Gold gave such a nice spot right off the 200 day. I was talking about this about 2 or 3 days ago, and it gave an awesome spot to short. I just don't know, like AEM, back below the 200, didn't pull back too much. NEM's kind of same thing. This one was maybe nice yesterday. Like as you see another gap up, maybe you could try to get short. And then I think like GDX, like your gold miners ETF, not too big of a pullback, but gold, these things are probably going to be gapping down tomorrow. You see gold kind of pulling a little bit here in the after hours. Interesting. Oops. Your Kospi is having a nice push here. Or, yeah, you get a gap up and a little bit of a crap. All right, but not too bad. Looks like we could bounce the Samsung, SK Hynix, same thing as far as your Korean stocks, right? ES, going over these futures. Nice flag break, new all-time closing high. NQ, like I talked about, your QQQ, nice flag break, nice range break, looks really good. Is either going to continue higher, give an inside day or two, and then continue higher. To me, that's all it looks like. Or we're going to get a failed breakout. Who knows? We'll see. Or a squat, whatever. The dollar looks like it's still bear flagging, so not too much to talk about there. I'm going to go over my list here now. Amazon, like I talked about, you get an earnings gap up as big as this. I'm going to be paying attention to this name for the next week or two to come. It's needed this rest. It did get a little bit heavy last 2 or 3 days. It had I've talked about this, like two bearish engulfings. So look, to me, it looked like it was still maybe going to possibly pull back. But you came right into the earnings open, which was an interesting spot. You're getting a little bit of a gap up here in the after hours. We'll see how we open tomorrow. Maybe an inside day tomorrow will be interesting. But nonetheless, I will watch today's highs like as a spot. Like if we're gapping up and just pushing through that'll be a super interesting spot for me. But other than that, let this thing kind of continue building out its little flag it's got going on. The earnings gap up was a big thing, so continue to keep an eye on it. And Microsoft, same thing, right? Needs more consolidation after this monster move up, but watch it for a higher low. It's going to be on watch for me in the next week or two. Looks pretty good, but to me, it just needs a few more days. So we'll see if maybe Amazon goes sideways for a day or two and then maybe wake up. Nvidia, continue to talk about these mags, right? And I'll actually pull the mags ETF first. Nice inside day, looks like possible higher low. I think there's a Tesla bouncing today, which don't really care too much about, but it was interesting to see the whole group kind of maybe pushing a little bit in a way, except for Microsoft or except for Amazon. But I talked about Microsoft. Google still just kind of a piece of crap to me, and Nvidia doesn't look too bad. It's just trying to build a range, kind of back to the top of this little range. Maybe it's already ready to go and it's going to push out tomorrow. Who knows? Or maybe it's just going to pull in, needs a few more, a week or two to just continue consolidating, building out the range. Looks not too bad, right? You bounce off the 200, you make a nice move up, and you're going sideways. Looks pretty good. Continuing to keep an eye on this. So really like this Amazon. I think that's everything Mag 7. AVGO, maybe even talking more about that Nvidia semiconductor name, right? You get back through the 50 on a big gap up and you're building a flag. I really like this. I think an inside day tomorrow would be interesting. The weekly chart looks good. It's a nice stall week. It looks like to be pretty low volume. So an inside day would be awesome, but nonetheless, I will watch to see if this name will push through today's highs, like maybe on a gap up, which like I said, it looks like maybe this one might be getting a little bit of a gap up, not too much, but inside day tomorrow will be awesome. Either way, it's building a nice flag. So out of this flag would be an interesting spot. AXTI, another name with like that possible flag, but I don't know how to feel about this one too much. I talked about AAOI, but these ones are a little weak today, and AXTI, I can't tell if it's trying to build a lower high or a higher low. Maybe it just needs more time to build out its flag, make me a little bit more confident about this one, but I don't mind this inside day today. We'll see what can get started for this one. It did gap up on earnings, made a nice run. It's trying to build like that first flag, so it's super interesting to say the least, and one I'll continue to keep an eye on, right? You look at that LYTE ETF, right? Or even just look at light, right? I wrote this, yeah, light, kind of a breach and fail of that pivot. I just don't know, not my favorite look on something like this. AAOI, not my favorite day today, but overall could be nice. Blaze, super nice. action off the earnings gap up, kind of came back in that pivot, nice bounce. It's trying to build out sideways, looks pretty good. I think this is in that similar group to like HPE and things like that. I have to do a little bit more research on this one, but I like the chart for sure. It's got an inside week. Just let it build out here post earnings, and it could look really good. I think an inside day or two tomorrow would be super interesting, right? It's building higher lows right into this little flat spot. So interesting to say at least. It's kind of out of this range or this prior pivot, bouncing off it. So interesting. I like the chart for sure. DDOG debated putting this one on the list. You had a big gap down earnings. I didn't like that. It kind of broke the chart. I look at like a weekly chart, looks not the best, but I did like the wick yesterday off the 50 and then a gap back through the 50 as an inside day. Looks like a possible wick play setup. Push through today's highs I'll be watching, and then obviously yesterday's highs as well, like that kind of same area, right? 10 and 20 day. Pushing through that would be super interesting. As a spot, right? It looks like it could be a nice higher low overall in this base it's building, and then a nice little flag here. So push through that would be interesting. Frog had an awesome day today. A few more days of sideways. It's right under new highs. So right, it's right there. I don't want to give up on this one too much yet. Maybe needs to continue, maybe needs to continue to build out, but either way, nice push day. I will watch this one on a pullback. FTNT triple inside day. This name looks so good alongside Okta, which is also on my list, which is pushing out of a little pivot, but as far as out of its highs, like let it keep building this cut base. It looks really good. FTNT looks awesome. I'll watch it above the prior day's high. Maybe one that you could have picked up today. Okta, same thing, right? They're looking good. Let them trade sideways for a few more days, and I think there could be something going there. Eli Lilly, nice flat base building. You had pretty much a double bottom base. You did have a rejection today of that pivot, but like a tight day or two tomorrow, or just a push out of the range is what I'll be watching on that one. It looks pretty good. It's building an overall base, so I want to keep an eye on it. NBIS had a big earnings gap up. Kind of a lot of people say, oh my God, this bar looks disgusting. But I mean, look where you just came from. You just came from a 34% day up. This thing needs like a breather at least. So like this day is absolutely nothing. And I think it looks fine. Let it pull in a little bit, let it build a higher low, and then you can go for it. Pull back to the top of the base. It's a breakout retest. But either way, this name looks good off the earnings gap up. The weekly chart looks good. It just needs some tightness now. It needs an actual setup to build, because the setup was a breakout of the range on the earnings gap up. So let it build out a new setup, and it could be actionable. Okta I talked about. OUST pretty much talked about. Let it keep building the flag, but I will watch for a breakout of today's highs. Nonetheless, it's interesting. Snow, right? I would like to let this one build out a little bit longer, but it is looking nice, building a nice flag there. STX, this group woke up in a nice way today. DRAM was pretty cool, breaking out this little sideways it's built, right? SMDK had a really nice push today of about almost 14%. So lots of volume coming in there. Definitely interesting to see it, like I said, wake up. I think SK Hynix, another one, 7% push. Very interesting to say, but like you look at a WDC below the 50, acting not the best. MU's not too bad, but it is below the 50, but I don't see too much. And then STX is building a brand new base, and this thing looks awesome, and could have been viable today through the 50 day. And I think that was an awesome spot if you were able to get that, or through the prior day high. They were both pretty much at the same spot. So 5-minute opening range break as like an anticipation of the 50 day, if that's what you want. But like I said, just through the 50 day, I thought was a good spot, but it's still in the base. It's building a big range, few more days of tightness, build a higher low, and this thing looks awesome. Or just a range break. I will be watching this above today's highs, like it just as that range break. It's building a nice base. Dude, this name looks really good, right? And the group's waking up, so it will be super interesting. UMAC, you're getting a little bit of a gap up here in the after hours. You had a double inside day today. It's building a nice flag, right? It's kind of coming out of this little range. It's been building over here. Earnings is out of the way. You're getting some like tariff news. So it's up 7% in the after hours. Could it be a viable gap up? Maybe. You have like that super high volume close, which that's an area I'll be keeping an eye on. 2960, right from that. I think it was the highest volume ever, or very close to it. I think highest weekly volume ever, maybe. No, close. But either way, some really big volume came on that day, so I will watch the close of that day, but as like a gap up spot. But it's one I'll just keep an eye on tomorrow. Nice gap in the after hours. And I talked about your VG. I forgot to talk about the after hours. Pretty much AMAT, down 5%. On earnings, right? Does not look good no matter what. And then UMAX up 7%. Some of these groups talked about IGV is a beast. Cyber is an absolute monster, right? RBRK is insane, right? Not at a viable spot, but what a move. If you've owned this thing from lower as a higher low setup, which I see a few, great work. This name it's really offered so many great spots, and it's acted so well. So super nice to see that. Okta's on the list. PanW, you had the double inside day yesterday, and you're pushing out of that today, or almost double inside day. Nonetheless, it looks great. CrowdStrike, getting CrowdStrike's, yeah, CrowdStrike triple inside day. Dude, this name just looks so good. I don't know if I'd be buying it up here because, you know, it's about to be 5 ATRs from the 50, so you do get one push and it's already extended. It's like, okay, the setup was maybe the ideal buying area was definitely lower. DRAM I talked about. SMH, let's go through the semis here, right? To me, guilty until proven innocent. Rejecting the 50-day, rejecting that prior pivot. That was the pivot that we absolutely got dumped right off of, right? We kind of found resistance right in that same area. So you're at an area of supply. It needs a gap up and push, or just a hold back above the 50 would be interesting, right? Intel, I did see this one kind of came out of this little pivot it made, nice little flag almost, right? The weekly chart had an inside week, but it's starting to slowly push out of that. I don't know. I don't see too much on this Intel. I don't want to talk about it too much. CBRS at the earnings gap down, but it's back in the base. And it looks to me like not a failed breakout, more so like a squat. So a day or two, maybe a few days of price action would give this a possible chance for a higher low. Doesn't look too bad. Could break right back out of the range. Maybe could watch today's highs. Who knows? But it doesn't look horrible, right? It's definitely holding up better than some of these names, but not my favorite. ARM, another one where it's just building out sideways. We'll see if it can get going. I think this one does actually have an inside week. Yeah, so maybe a little interesting, but we'll see if the semis. I'd really like the semis to wake up. I think we would get that real power trend if the semis can actually wake up here. And Marvell, another one, building sideways. Don't see too much in it. And AMD, man, it's not doing anything too wrong as far as like its overall base, but the market's slowly starting to pick up off of its lows in a really clean and nice way. And this thing looks like a bear flag below the 50. Cut that out. But nonetheless, I think it looks not my favorite, right? I talked about mags. I talked about your optics, right? QQQE, right? New highs, RSP, new highs, your equal weighted stuff is acting amazing. It's been acting amazing. ARCG, right? Wedging a little bit in the last 3 days. Not really at an ideal buy point, but TXG looks awesome. Twist looks fine, right? These names are acting really good. And Eli Lilly, I talked about same thing. Like obviously you look at your XLV, right? Kind of peeking out of that pivot. Looks to me like it can continue pushing higher overall in a nice uptrend, right? Some of those names that took some rest today, NTAP, I think just looks fine. Let it build out now. It's made a nice move up. HP, same thing. And then Dell, don't want to see it fail a breakout and come back into the base, but we'll see. Can't be stubborn with these names. Zebra is also in that group that comes off an earnings gap up. It's building sideways in a decent way. And SMCI was another one where you had earnings gap up kind of in that same group, and then just a rejection of a resistance gap. But that's pretty much going to be it, right? I don't see too much to pay attention to on the short side, unless some of these names making massive moves like Everpure, right, are going to continue to go parabolic, or this name breaking out of a new high is going to build a high type flag and be an actionable setup, right? It's in a decent group, but maybe we could see a short if names like this can go parabolic. Besides that, my focus is tight setups in the best groups to continue higher, right? The stocks that have been participating, because the indexes look awesome. The breadth's awesome. Traction's awesome. Names are still looking good. So that's where I want to be focused. There will definitely be some interesting weekly charts this weekend, but I hope you all have a great weekend, and I will see you Sunday night. Thanks. Peace.